Hello, I'm Manik Maharjan, and in this video we'll be talking about traffic studies. So, why do we need to study traffic? Because it helps modify and improve existing geometric design. A traffic study is accepted as a true measure of roadway performance and helps in deciding the priority for improvement and possible expansion of a roadway. It analyzes traffic patterns and trends, and it is very helpful during scoping process of a project. That is because scoping process is the initial phase for any project. There are several types of traffic studies which are carried out. We have traffic volume study, speed study, traffic capacity study, traffic delay study, parking study, and accident study. These are just few examples of various traffic studies which are carried out by transportational professionals all across the country and the world. Like, for example, Department of Transportation carries out speed limits tests and studies to check compliance of speed limits set and analyze the compliance rate to see whether or not the speeds have to be increased, decreased, or remain the same. As a standard, the 85th percentile of the overall speed data recorded during this study is set as the legal speed limit. Recently, District 7 of Minnesota Department of Transportation carried out various speed studies across its highways and checked if they needed to increase or decrease speed limits, and according to the studies, they did increase speed limits of various highways from 55 to 60 miles per hour. So let's talk about the traffic speed study. It shows general trends in speeds in roadways, and it helps determine authorities whether or not they should increase or decrease speed limits. Let's talk about traffic speed study. It is one of the easiest method to conduct a speed study manually. In this method, we set a test length in a stretch of road and record the time for each vehicle to go from end to end of that test section. Using the time data and the length of the test section, we can determine the speed. Another method for traffic speed study is the moving vehicle method. It was developed by John Wardrop and George Charlesworth from England. It is an inexpensive method of conducting a speed study. In this method, we set a test section to drive on, and the observing vehicle records the time required to drive the test section, the total length of the test section, vehicles moving in opposite direction, the vehicles overtaking, and the vehicles being overtaken by the observing car. In this illustration, we can see the black marked vehicle is the observing vehicle. The O marked vehicle is the vehicle overtaking the observing vehicle. The P marked vehicle is the vehicle being overtaken by the observing vehicle, and the M marked vehicles are the vehicles which are being driven in the opposite direction. If the sample is large enough with the total combined volume of all sections, and the method is very useful, which was determined by the Cook County, Illinois. For a single section or a small sample, there may be a sizable error. However, the errors cancel out when the sections are combined. The collected data is then used to determine an adjusted one-way flow in vehicles per hour. Then the flow is then used to get an average operating speed in the direction the observing car was traveling in. It is an economical method of counting conducting a speed study, as it only requires one individual driving and the other counting. The need for two individuals can be eliminated by fitting a dash cam on a vehicle and replaying the video afterwards to count the vehicles. Now let's talk about traffic volume study. The quantity of vehicles crossing a section of a road per unit time at a given period, we defined as traffic volume study. The data collected from traffic volume study can be used for planning, for studying traffic patterns, and pavement design, as a roadway with higher volume requires stronger pavements. We can conduct traffic volume studies in two basic ways. We have the automatic method and the manual method. To conduct a volume study using automatic method, we use mechanical counters fitted in roadways. The one advantage of using automatic method is that they can work 24/7 without an interruption. However, the data could be rendered obsolete if someone tampered with the device. Let's say, for example, if someone keeps on driving over an automatic counter fitted in a roadway to tamper with the data, then the data could be useless. And it could also be expensive. These are some example of devices used to measure traffic volume automatically. We have pneumatic road tubes, which are fitted across the roadways, and it counts the vehicles every time it goes over the wires or the tubes. Here we can see an example of pneumatic tubes for bicycle, which can also be used for turning movements count. And the data recorded by these tubes can be used to determine whether or not the road needs a dedicated bicycle lanes, as higher volume of bicycles in a lane would require a bicycle lane. Next, we have the manual method for traffic volume study. In this method, trained individuals go out in the field and they can only record traffic count for a given time, but they could actually record a broad spectrum of data, including turning movements, which automatic tubes fitted on roadways could have a hard time counting, and they are comparatively less expensive. The data obtained from traffic volume study can be used to obtain average daily traffic, or ADT, and average annual daily traffic, or AADT, through various conversion and adjustment factors. In this video, we discussed about traffic studies and how different traffic studies are conducted.